Domestic work in South Africa is as old as the hills, but it is no secret that to this day, most domestic workers still do not know their rights and job scope, a profession that may be putting them at risk of exploitation. This week, we focus on two heinous dog attacks at the workplace where one ended with a loss of life.
You know what? If they came here and asked me themselves, even the cops, now they want to come wara. I've had enough of this now.
They marched to Crystal Park, Benoni, on Human Rights Day, chanting and singing struggle songs. With screaming placards, they called for a stop to the killing of domestic workers and justice for Mlungisi Nketshisa, a gardener who was viciously mauled to death on Valentine's Day. Affectionately known for his love for beautiful flowers and gardening by his friends and family, Nketshisa's story took a turn on the morning of February the 14th. For the past 5 years, Mlungisi dedicated his life as a gardener and domestic worker in Crystal Park, a job that he did with pride, says his mother, Twalani Mahamba.
Abuye esiphathele nabasisonka nabayinyama onto nje asiphathele yona.
But Mlungisi never returned home on February the 13th.
Wasebenza ke ngicawoko wangabuya kantulele kwakhe umlungu. Kwasangomvulo ekwakhe.
As this was often the case, Mahamba says she did not make anything of it. The next day, she went to work without having heard from her son Mlungisi.
Ndafonelwa ngo2 mina emsebenzini lapho ngisebenza khona. Uchivana.
Chivana is Mahamba's nephew who had been called by the Crystal Park police station informing him that something tragic had happened.
Wathi man mekhona apha emarobotini ase Shoprite ndimlinde uhamba ngemoto.
This baffled the 61-year-old mother.
Wafika wathi mandigibele emotweni. Ndambuza ndithi ngaba into nachiva na wathi mandigibele emotweni. Wathi Chivana hayi ndithunywe ngumlungisi into kokubana ucabene nabelungu bakhe. Ifuna wena lento. That time nachivana andiyi apho wathi hayi gibela mama ndiyakucela. Umlungisi akakwazi ukuthetha yedwa nabelungu bakhe ungekho. Ndathi oh hayi ke ndagibela ke emotweni sahamba.
Mahamba went to the police station where her worst fears awaited.
That awuphina umntana mna. Wathi ke yena ke hayi gogo khona. Ndathi uphi njengangoku. Hayi wema wandibheka. Ndathi usaphilile na naba ufile na. Ndicacisele vele ndikuba ndingumama akhe ndicacisele nje into yonke. Kuba kwenzakaleni ngomlungisi. Hayi watsho wathi hayi umlungisi hayi udlweza izinja emlungwini watshona. Ndangena emotweni ndathandaza emotweni. Ndathandaza ndagqiba ndakhala.
We received a chilling video of Mlungisi's last moments. Due to its graphic nature, we are unable to air it. These are the still pictures taken from that footage, which was captured at his workplace.
I spoke to Ben last night. Did Ben tell you I'm gonna...
While all this unfolds, instead of stopping the mayhem, the person behind the camera is casually chit-chatting with others as they witness the horrifying scene.
Indiphethe kabuhlungu kakhulu umntanami kuba uqamba amanga. Indiphethe kabuhlungu. Andiphumli ebusuku nandicinga ndibuyisa ingqondo yami. Akukho uba ndingayibuyisa. umntana amaphupha kabuhlungu ezibazi izitsha zomlungu. Inhliziyo yami ibuhlungu nangona andikaxoli tu emphefumulweni nami futhi soze ndaxola ngomlungisi, soze ndixole kwami. Inhliziyo yami ihleli ligazi nasemsebenzini ndihlele ndikhala vele.
Pit bulls are descendants of bulldogs and terriers, often kept for protection of homes. They can live up to 15 years and weigh up to 27 kilograms. Mahamba says the pit bulls were not leashed. She tried getting answers from the dog owners.
Wafika umlungu wathetha ke wathi naye ufelwe babantu bakhe abathathu. Ndithi ngaphezulu komntanam na uthi yena ke ewe ndifelwe bantu bam abathathu.
According to the Animal Matters Amendment Act of 1993, a negligent owner whose animal injures another person stands to be found guilty of an offense and may be fined or imprisoned for not more than 2 years. According to Mlungisi's mother, his employers offered her 5,000 rand following Mlungisi's 5 years of devoted service.
Wathetha lento iyi-1 lo mlungu wathi undikhalisa nge-5,000 ndayala ano umntana makanongcwatshwa nge-5,000 ndathi cha i-5,000 zange ide imngcwabo umntu e-Eastern Cape kukude.
Mlungisi was laid to rest on the 22nd of February in the Eastern Cape.
Ndibuhlungu umntanam ndibuhlungu ngomlungisi ndibuhlungu kakhulu.
And then i-case nike nakwazi ukuthi niyivule emaphoyiseni and amaphoyisa athini?
Siyasoyivula i-case ayikathethwa.
Armed with questions on what really happened to Mlungisi, we paid Mlungisi's employers and dog owners a visit. We were met behind this gate by this lady who did not want to identify herself. She told us that her 3 pit bull dogs that mauled Mlungisi to death had no reason to attack him unprovoked.
He was actually cleaning the garden.
And
he
then
hit one of the dogs and the dogs attacked him.
He hit one of the dogs. Why? Do you know why?
No, I'm not going to give you anything. This matter's supposed to be resolved. Not resolved, but it needs to go to rest.
But what do you mean resolved? Because the family is alleging that the dogs were not on the leash. They attacked him.
Of course they won't be in the leash because they were inside the yard and he was inside our yard.
Yeah. But what do you mean he hit the dogs? Why would he do that?
We gave the footage, everything to the police.
When he hit the dog?
We gave the footage to the police and the police have everything, all the evidence. We're still devastated about it because it's still breaking us.
And I think...
I know the family wants
Yeah.
answers, but they should have asked the detective. He's got all the answers. Also, you're also saying to me, we were as surprised as everybody else is.
Okay.
Eventually, her infuriated husband also joined us at the gate. We told him that Mlungisi's family is asking questions about why the 3 dogs were left unattended, unleashed, and outside anyone's control.
Familie moet op. Alright, ek is nou klaar met julle nou.
Yeah, the family, they're not leaving us alive.
And I'm here so that you can respond to what they're saying.
I don't give a what the family say. You understand me? You know what? You know what? If they came here and asked me themselves, even the cops, now they want to come wara. I've had enough of the now.
Yeah, sir, but do you understand that a life was lost? Do you
Alright.
understand that? And they need clarity on what happened. I'm
They
saying
must
the
go to the
family
cops. The cops has
needs
got the
clarity.
Despite the couple alleging that Mlungisi hit their dogs first, they could not provide us with the footage that they allege they have in their possession.
But why were they not leashed?
The dogs grew up with it. That wherever you work, the dogs were always working. They never bit in him.
So what happened on that day? Why did they
The
bring
dogs
back-
are lying here. He hit the dogs with the right.
Why?
I got no clue. I can't tell you.
And also,
I wasn't here.
Okay, but another thing is that if he grew up with the dogs, then why would he then out of the blue?
And who gave you my address in any case?
Sorry.
Who gave you my address?
No, I have my way.
I want you to know who gave you my address.
Why?
Let me get my phone. Let me find the coffee.
Following a few phone calls to what they said were police, the couple decided to flee and not respond to our questions anymore. While citizens have a right to own dogs, responsibility of ownership is also an obligation. Another dog attack incident occurred in the Eastern Cape 2 days prior to Nketshisa's death. These fresh scars on Sindiswa Xaba's body are a constant reminder of the day she nearly lost her life to a pit bull owned by her employer.
Yayisilwa yayisezale yayifuna undibulala qha. Ndaqha ke zange ke kude kube kwenzekile ngolo hlobo.
Xaba worked as a domestic worker for most of her life. In 2015, another employment opportunity presented itself. She says a few months later, her working environment changed.
Xa ndifika Mondays, ndawubuzwa izinto zalapha endlini. Ndibe ke mna ke ndiqonda into yobana bendishiye abantu mos apha endlini. Into ezinjengemitshayelo, neento zedespan, nezinye izinto. There's no need uba zibuzwe kum. Just because bakhona abantu abakhoyo abasebenzisayo apha endlini.
According to Xaba, this was just the tip of the iceberg. On the 12th of February, her employer's pit bull named Blackie was left with her.
Ndiyaklina ndiyihlahleli ke ngoku uba ndisithi ndilinde uba makome. Yayiva njalo iyakhonkotha because oko bikhonkotha ndaqha ke mna ke ndinento ethi ayisuka ikhonkotha ezinye izinja phaa ngaphandle.
She says it wasn't just a regular bark. The pit bull was irritated.
Hayi mani le nja imane ikhonkotha ithi agqiba izawujikela ngapha phambi kwemoto then iphinde iphume. But this time now, andikhange ndiyazi into yobana itheni na ukuze isuke inditsibele. Ndibone nam sendiphantsi, sendiyinqanda-nqanda, sendinanqanda-nqanda, indixhwitha, nam ndiyayibetha, ndiyayikhowusha, sendiligazi nje. Nam ke ngoku sendizama ukrola, andikwazi ukulatuka, andikwazi ndiyoyisakala. Ndibomvu nje ndichwithekile ezinye inyama ndiyazibona nazi uba ibiziluma ithi agqiba izilahle phaa uyayibona.
A neighbor heard Xaba's screams and came to her rescue. In late December last year, a 3-year-old, also from the Eastern Cape, was killed by a pit bull. Selina Kokolosi is another victim of a pit bull attack in Durban during the same month that Nketshisa and Xaba were attacked. She too was a domestic worker. The founder of the United Domestic Workers of South Africa, or UDWOSA, Pinky Mashiane, says these stories are all too common.
These are acts of extreme cruelty. You cannot leave your dogs outside knowing that there's a guard now sleeping in the outside house, leaving 3 pit bulls outside. You cannot leave a dog that have attacked a child before, a dog that has killed other dogs, and leave it with a domestic worker unleashed. Why don't employers leash their dogs? Why don't they chain their dogs and lock their dogs far away? I am raging because of these cases, and I will stop at nothing to find justice for these domestic workers.
On the 21st of March, she was among those who went to Mlungisi Nketshisa's employers to demand answers. But she says the employers were non-responsive. They proceeded to Crystal Park Police Station demanding a progress report on Nketshisa's inquest.
The employers are doing as they please because no one will come and tell them anything. So the implementation and the enforcement of law by the Department of Labor is needed. And I've asked the Department of Labor, even in the past, that if they can take maybe 1 month and say, or 1 to 3 months and say, this 3 months, we are going to work with domestic workers, we are going to do inspections, we are going to go to house.
Mashiane has worked in this industry for over a decade. She says their struggle is to find justice for domestic workers in their workplaces.
In 2022, really, Can the people take a video of a person who's eaten alive by a dog until he died in their eyes while they are taking a video? That's why I'm saying we are enraged, and we are going to protest, we're going to demonstrate, we're going to do anything to make people to be aware that this is a time where this has to stop against domestic workers. They've been doing this and getting away with this for far too long.
On the 5th of March, Mashiane also traveled to New Brighton in the Eastern Cape to help Xaba open a case with the police.
We opened a case against the employer. Yeah, there was some detective, a female detective, who thought maybe this was funny. She asked another detective, is she opening a case against the dog? Yeah, that's how some society thinks of domestic workers, thinking that they are better than domestic workers, forgetting that domestic workers are human before being domestic workers.
This mother of 3 stayed 5 weeks at the Livingstone Hospital and had a skin graft operation. The procedure involves transplanting a piece of healthy skin to a new site on a patient's body.
Apha emzimbeni ndilibene ilegalo yona irongo nje qha. Nalapha bendinamanxeba kwezi ndawo. Nalapha apha egxalabeni ndinenxeba. Kuba lokho kulapho yavela yatsala yasiphula inyama yami yathi gqiba yilahla pha. Yaphi apha emlenzeni ndinenxeba kule ndawo. Nalapha ndinenxeba kule ndawo. Apha emzimbeni ke ndamshona uba ndancedwa into yoba ndandinxibe loo nto ndandiyinxibile ndabe ndiyasinda.
She says since her ordeal, her employer has stopped paying her salary and hasn't called to inquire about her health. Xaba says that while her physical wounds may heal with time, it's going to take a lifetime to heal the wounds that have been engraved in her mind.
Ndithi ndawuba ndodwa. Ndixhwaleke emphefumlweni nangengqondo. That's because ngoku right bendizenziswa ifizio phaa emsebenzini apha elentukeni esibhedlele nesayikhi bendizenziswa. But now ngamanye amaxesha ndiba nayo laa nto yobana ingathi ndiyalwa nayo ndiphambane ndibe ligeza, yabona, but kodwa ndifuna sibona hayi mani ndisendlini apha. So kuba buhlungu because andiyazi uba iyawuze iphele nini na kuba iyaqhubekeka iyenzeka.
She wants justice.
Mna ndifuna ubabona bendibhatala because ngoku akusekho nto ndinokuthi ndiphinde ndikwazi uzenzela yona into yona.
Usakwazi usebenza?
Andizokwazi anawukwazi ngoku ukuthi mhlawumbi ndiyofuna umsebenzi okanye mhlawumbi ubuza uba ndiyafuna nophindela phaa kulaa ndlu. Andikwazi. Uba ndiyasebenza kusebenza uba ndihlela apha endlini because kaloku la manxeba ngoku yabona njengoba nje asikwazi nokugoba esandla. Sigoba nje kancinci sisebuhlungu. Ubuhlungu xa even ndivasa itawuli ndizivasa mna. Andikakwazi uzivasa thoroughly.
It's time that these people are prosecuted. Even the employers, they must be prosecuted and charged with murder and be jailed for killing domestic workers with their dogs.
The Supreme Court of Appeal of South Africa recently gave a judgment on a matter between Van Meijeren and Klute, where Klute was mauled by 3 pit bulls belonging to Van Meijeren. Judge Wallace emphasized that animals can cause harm to people or property in various ways. When they do so and the victim of their actions is innocent of fault for the harm they have caused, the interests of justice require that, as between the owner and the injured party, it is the owner who should be held liable for that harm. We approached the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals to get a closer look into the roles and responsibilities of dog owners and the public.
When an animal has attacked or when an animal has caused injury or harm to a human being, the act that applies is the Animal Matters Amendment Act. Okay, so what needs to happen there is that the SAPS, well, first and foremost, the victim needs to be taken to hospital and receive the medical attention that they need. Secondly, the SAPS needs to be contacted, and the SAPS is the authority that enforces the Animal Matters Amendment Act, and the case will be open under the Animal Matters Amendment Act. And this act provides recourse and provides direction as to what should happen when an animal has caused injury or attacked a human being. And the act clearly states that an owner will be held liable if their animal has caused injury or damage to a human being or harm to a human being. And if you're found guilty, you face charges, you face a fine, or you face going to prison.
According to Keshvi Nair, a qualified inspector and public relations officer at the NSPCA, there are exceptions.
The three conditions where the owner will not be held liable for the attack of an animal. And these three conditions are, the first would be if the victim was in a place that the victim had no right to be. In other words, you were trying to rob a property. You had no right to be there. You were not given permission to be there. You had no authority to be there. So that's the first condition. The second condition is if the animal was provoked by the victim or by a third party. And the third condition would be if control of the animal was given to a third party, and the third party failed to ensure that the animal doesn't attack someone or inflict harm on somebody else. Those are the only three conditions which would exempt the owner from being held liable.
While in the Eastern Cape, we contacted Toliswa Mpabane, Xaba's employer. She told us that she was not available for a physical interview but agreed to a telephonic interview. According to Mpabane, she was not home when the incident happened.
Toliswa grew up that dog as small as from 6 weeks.
And ma'am, why do you think then it just decided to attack her out of the blue if she grew up with those dogs?
That's an interest, my angel, of us all. Ne? It doesn't pity that Cindy can't tell us, can't open us and tell us the honest truth. Because if I can be rude enough, I told my children also to collect all the sticks that Cindy has been beaten the dogs with. My broomsticks that have been broken, my mop sticks that have been broken. So that's what I said to everybody I have been in contact with. I didn't want to ask him the day of the injury. It will be like I'm humiliating him. Once under pain, I'm asking him what actually happened. Even whoever has got a dog, I said that dog could never be taken without any good reason.
She denies that her dog had shown previous violent behavior. We asked her about the puppy that was apparently mauled to death.
No, that's not true.
So your dog has never showed any signs of violence?
No, that's all, never, ever. I'm telling you.
She says she's willing to resolve Xaba's case amicably. But Utwosa's Binki Mashiane says they have had enough of employers who do not care for the safety of their workers.
Shows how that employers only want domestic workers' hands. If it was possible for them, they will take their hands and keep them in their drawers so that they can use their hands, but not domestic workers themselves.
We requested an interview with both the Gauteng and Eastern Cape Police. In Gauteng, Brigadier Brenda Muridili promised to check if any arrests had been made with regards to Mlungisi Nketshisa's case, and said that they can only provide an update to the complainants. In the Eastern Cape, Brigadier Kinana said they couldn't comment as they were out of office. We still await their response.